What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Blank Online here today to chat with you more about some Black Ops Cold War, and today we're going to be talking about update 1.06. Now, if you haven't done so yet and if you haven't updated the game yet, make sure you go on your console of choice or your PC and make sure you download the updates so you can take advantage of all of the latest weapon balancing changes, all of the latest score streak changes, and etc. Without further ado, let's get into the update itself. Now, I'm going to go through first how much gigabytes this is going to take on each of our systems, and it's actually not that much. On PC, you're looking at a 5 gig update. On the Xbox consoles, you're looking at 11 gigs. On the PlayStation 5, it's 6 gigs. On the PS4, it's only 3 gigs, so it's not too much. It's not the crazy 50 gig updates like we're used to on Modern Warfare, but to be fair, not a lot changed here. It's mostly a lot of weapon balancing things, so a big update's not to be expected. We're going to get a massive update on Wednesday when Nuketown comes, and I assume we're going to get a lot more, an even bigger update when Season 1 starts on December 10. But let's get into the update. I'm going to go through all of the weapon balancing changes, starting with the assault rifle. So the first assault rifle we have here, and the only assault rifle that we have here, is the FAMAS, or the FFAR-1. That's got a nerf. So increased recoil has been done to the FFR. A slightly reduced max damage has happened by 3.5%, and it has now a reduced max damage range by 34%, going from 38 meters to 25 meters. Now, basically all this means is going to be harder to control the gun, and as well as that, the effective range from how your gun is going to work and how your gun can do the most damage has been reduced. So from those sort of medium to longer ranges, you're going to find that the FAMAS struggles a little bit on those sort of longer ranges, whereas your medium ranges are going to be fine. It's going to be those longer ranges that's going to struggle at now as a result of this update. Personally, for me, I haven't used the FAMAS too much. I know that I was getting clapped by it earlier in the game's life cycle, like a day or two post the game launching. I used the gun a little bit. I wasn't the greatest fan of it, mainly because I feel like you need a lot of attachments on that gun in order to sort of really use it to its most effective peak, I guess that's the best way to put it. So for me, it wasn't really my type of gun, and now that it's gotten all these sort of increased recoils and reduced damage range and all that sort of stuff, I probably won't use it too much until I have to get it gold for diamond camo and dark matter and all that sort of stuff. But those changes have happened to the FAMAS. Moving on from assault rifles to submachine guns. Now this is the big one. This is the one that everyone wanted to see happen. The MP5 has finally gotten a nerf. Now it's actually funny because this update came out, like, I think this morning at the time that I'm recording this video. The nerf they originally did got reverted and then got added back as a result of this update going live. So the MP5 was back to being its overpowered self for a little bit, but now we're back, and now we can talk about what exactly they did to the gun. So obviously they did their initial nerf before, and then from what it looks like, they've done a little bit more tweaking as well as a result of this patch. So they reduced the base effective damage range by 33%, going from 15.24 meters to 10.16 meters. Now again, this essentially is handling how the gun is going to work most effectively at all the different sorts of ranges. So essentially this is really going to be only for close quarters combat, whereas opposed to before, the gun was out classing most assault rifles, which doesn't necessarily make sense, but here we are. Close ranges is going to be where you're going to be using the MP5 now. As well as that, they've tweaked the character of the weapon's initial recoil, so therefore making the gun a little bit harder to use as soon as you shoot those first couple of bullets. Now, they didn't increase the recoil overall. It's just the animation that plays in terms of the different bullet trajectories and how the gun behaves when you shoot those initial shots is the thing that's changing, which effectively makes your initial firing experience a little harder to sort of control. So the MP5 has gotten that nerf, not as good as it once was back in the day when the game first released, and I'm glad that this sort of change has come as efficiently as it has. Moving on from SMGs to TAC rifles. Now TAC rifles have gotten a massive nerf. Now, not as much of a nerf. There's some nerfs here, there's some buffs here as well. The main two that have gotten their nerfs were the M16, and they call it TAC Rifle Charlie in the patch notes, but that's the AUG. So the M16 has got a reduced max damage range by 15%, so going from 25.4 meters to 21.59 meters. Increased the sprints of fire time, so that's actually a buff, which is actually a really good thing, but it's lowered the moving speed while firing. It's increased the delay between bursts. It's also rebalanced the fire rate bonuses which you get on different barrel attachments, and it's also reduced the effectiveness of laser attachments on the M16. The M16 is a cracked weapon. It's actually my favorite weapon in the game to use, pretty much, and I really like it. I don't see these nerfs here causing too much of an issue in terms of the gun. Obviously the damage range is the biggest one out of all this, but it's still a really good weapon, even though at those medium to long ranges, hell, even at the short ranges as well, this gun absolutely lasers. So I don't necessarily see these nerfs being the biggest thing. When I hop on the game tonight and actually play, I'll probably have more of an opinion. And if you want to see me be playing tonight, I'll be live on Twitch 8 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time, twitch.tv/blankonline. You can go ahead and watch me on there. I go live pretty much every night playing Cold War, so if you want to see me do more of that, you can do so. As well as that, Tac Rifle Charlie, which is the AUG, got a reduced max damage range by 20%. Now this is actually a pretty big one, reducing it by 20%, whereas opposed to the M16 was only 15%. Now this is going from 38.1 meters effective range to 30.48 meters effective range. Now this essentially, again, as I said, as I've been explaining throughout this whole video, this essentially just means the amount of damage that your gun's going to do from different ranges has been reduced here, at least for the AUG. They increased the sprint to fire time as well, just like they did with the M16. They slowed the moving speed while firing. They increased the delay between bursts. They rebalanced the fire rate bonuses on barrel attachments, and they slightly reduced the effective range of laser attachments. So essentially, all the nerfs that they did to the M16, they did so as well to the AUG, but increased that sort of reduction on the damage range by another 5% as opposed to the M16. So M16 AUG, not as good as they were when the game first launched, but again, as I said, for the M16, I don't really see this being too much of an issue in terms of the AUG, because the AUG is actually a cracked weapon. They didn't do anything in terms of the damage output at all. They didn't do anything in terms of recoil. The gun is still going to be really good to use. So if you're a fan of the AUG, if you're a fan of the M16, if I'm honest with you, nothing really to worry about here. The Type 63 has also gotten a slight buff. They increased the fire rate of that gun, and they rebalanced the fire rate bonuses on barrel attachments. They didn't say with all of these tac rifles, they didn't say how they've rebalanced the fire rate bonuses, whether that be in a good way, whether that be in a bad way, but we're just going to sort of have to wait and see once we get into the game. Same thing with the DMR-14, increased the fire rate and then rebalanced the barrel attachments on those. Moving on from tac rifles to light machine guns. The only light machine gun that seems to have been touched is the M60, where they improved the max damage range for the M60 and they improved movement speeds on that gun. So the M16 overall got a buff. Moving on from that, sniper rifles. Sniper rifles is the big one from this update that a lot of people are kicking off about, a lot of people are angry about. Personally, for me, fuck them. I hate sniper rifles. I hate people who use sniper rifles. I just get pissed off when people use sniper rifles thinking that they're trying out for FaZe Clan, going into public lobbies, thinking they're like really sick and really good at the game because they just pew pew, I'm a sniper rifle. Quick scope, I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. Sniper rifles have been nerfed. Let's go into what has been nerfed. And this applies to all sniper rifles. So every single sniper rifle in the category is going to be receiving these changes. The sprint to fire times to account for early blend / interruption allowed via the animation system has been changed. The effective sprint to fire time is noticeably shorter than what is displayed in Gunsmith, and we have plans to address the Gunsmith readout in future updates. So basically meaning, since the whatever it says on Gunsmith is not actually what's happening in game, Treyarch has adjusted this and they plan to readjust it again once they figure out how to probably sort of show it in the Gunsmith. They've adjusted the movement speed impact when firing to intended values to make each shot feel more powerful, and they fine-tuned the barrel attachments that improve idle sway to provide a unique feel on each gun. So basically making each gun feel a little bit more unique, feel a little bit more powerful, but overall nerfing the guns as well. If we're looking at overall sort of really nitpicky, really niche sort of changes that they've done to the sniper rifles that haven't been laid out here on the patch notes, the shooting movement speed has been nerfed on every single sniper rifle by about 2 miles per hour, and the sprint to fire rate has been increased on every single sniper rifle as well. Treyarch has stated that they're looking to increase and all sort of buff the what would be the Barrett 50 cal in previous games here, because apparently that gun's not being used too much, and the effectiveness of that gun compared to say the Pellington or the L3 Tundra it's not really balanced there in terms of the other snipers in the category. So they've looked to buff that in a future update. I assume we're going to get that with season 1. We could potentially see that update come with the Nuketown update too. I'm not too sure when that's coming, but that is coming. Treyarch did announce that today. Moving on from snipers to pistols, the Magnum has a slightly improved fire rate, an improved max damage range, and an improved visibility while firing after the first shot. So Magnum gets an overall buff. Shotgun's Bravo. So Bravo is the Spaz 12 or whatever they call it in, I don't even know, the Gallo SA12 in Cold War. They've reduced the damage between ranges from 5.8 meters to 7.7 meters. So again, as I've been saying throughout this whole video, the amount of damage your gun's going to do between the ranges that it says in the patch notes and the reductions that they've done to it, your gun's just not going to do as well from those ranges. So making the SA12 a little bit more viable in close ranges and a little bit less viable in those medium ranges. The SA12 is absolutely cracked. The Spaz, again, one of my favorite guns in the game because it's absolutely cracked, especially when you're playing the domination. You're trying to clear the enemies out on B, whip out the Spaz 12, easy done. That's easy kills, easy claps. It's been nerfed. Moving on from weapon tuning updates, I'm going to skip over things like game mode changes and all the map changes, stability changes, miscellaneous zombies, all that sort of stuff. If you want to read the entire patch notes list, I'll leave it in the link in the description down below if you want to really get into it and really read all of that sort of stuff there. But I'll finish the video off by talking about the different changes that they've made to the score streaks. With the combat bow, they reduced the damage from the combat bow from 5 to 4. With the care package, they increased the cost of the care package from 1800 score to 2000. With the sentry turret, they reduced the cost from 2000 to 1800. If I'm honest, the sentry turret is one of the most useless score streaks in the game. It dies with 1 grenade, it dies with 2 melee hits. It's useless, it's absolutely useless. Most of the time, it doesn't even track that there's an enemy in front of it. You can just literally run past it, hit it 2 times, and then it's done. The sentry turret is absolutely useless. Moving on, the napalm strike has an increased cost from 2100 to 2500 score. The air patrol has been reduced from 3200 to 2700. The artillery has been increased from 2500 to 3000. The cruise missile has been increased from 2600 to 3500, which is actually pretty cracked. I use the cruise missile. In my score streaks, I go UAV, cruise missile, war machine, and out of the 3, the cruise missile and the war machine has been increased in cost, which is pretty fucking annoying, but it is what it is. Moving on from cruise missile, let's talk war machine. War machine has been increased from 3500 to 4000. The attack helicopter not only has an increased boost, but also has a buff in terms of its damage output and that sort of stuff. So it's had an increased cost from 4000 to 4500. The damage from 50 to 75 per bullet of the attack helicopter, so it's going to do more damage. The health has been increased from 4500 to 5000. It has also decreased the duration of the screen shake from bullet impacts, so that's on the player. So if you're getting shot by the attack helicopter, the amount of time that your screen is going to do that shaking animation has been decreased, and it's also reduced the amount of time the helicopter will stay in one place before relocating. So the attack helicopter has overall gotten a buff. It's still going to be a wait and see how sort of viable the attack helicopter is, because it's pretty shit in the game at the moment. So it's going to be a sort of wait and see to see if the increased damage and the increased health is really going to do anything, because genuinely, even with the health increase, all you need to do, custom class 3, use the RPD, shoot it down, and that's it. There's nothing really else you have to do, but you know, it is what it is. Moving on from there, we have the VTOL Escort, which has a reduced cost from 8500 to 8000, and as well as that, it's increased the turret burst length and reduced the cooldown time. And then the final score streak that's been changed is the Chopper Gunner. It's had an increased cost from 6000 to 6500, and as well as that, it's reduced the movement on the gun when firing. Again, same thing with the Chopper Gunner. You've increased the cost, but yet you haven't increased the health. It's the same thing. Custom class 3, use the RPD, shoot the Chopper Gunner down, happy days. That's all you need to do. But it's going to be a wait and see to see if the attack helicopter is going to be any good, and whether or not the extra 500 is going to take you to get the Chopper Gunner is going to be any worth, if I'm honest, because it's going to take 30 seconds to shoot it down anyway. But that's enough for me. That's all I'm going to talk about today for update 1.06. Again, as I said, I'll leave all the links in the description down below if you want to read the full entire patch notes and get really into it. If you're enjoying the content that I'm posting up on this channel at the moment, make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're very, very close to getting there, so any help would be very, very appreciated. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, comment down below. Out of all the changes that they've made in terms of the weapons for this game as a result of update 1.06, what change are you most excited about, and what change are you least excited about? Let me know all that sort of stuff down below. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.
can't you see the bandage on my face? Wanna light the city, that's my place. Don't you touch the money, that's my case. Ride around the city like you know the place. Killing everybody like you know the base. Stealing all the cars, then you go race. Fucking everybody, you don't know the name.